100 grams.
So,
all right, my name is Courtney. People call me Cole. People call me Cole Young, but for the most part, they call me Cole.
so where are you from?
I'm from pretty much the whole city. I spent my teenage years in the East, so that's where I claim. I spent my younger years uptown, but I've been in the East since I was 12, so that's pretty much where I grew up.
All right, so growing up in the East, tell us a little bit about your childhood. How did that go for you?
The East was different back then. Like, I moved to the East in '97, I believe, so it was way different coming from Gertown, because like Gertown was way more violent back then. The East kind of introduced me to like a whole different lifestyle. Like, dudes had dance groups and, you know, S-curls. Like, everything was about fashion. Everything was about stunting on a different type level. Like, people stunting with their parents' cars. So it was just a whole different like side of life out there.
So it's just totally different from today's age of New Orleans East and what it is
Yeah,
now.
the East today is like a complete 180 from what it was back then. Like, people used to kind of move to the East. Like, when your family got money, that's pretty much, you know, that was a common thing for black people to do. Like, move to the East, move to further in Gentilly, you know, like away from the inner city part, you know what I'm saying? But now it's like the exact opposite. It's like cheaper to live in the East because, you know, like poor communities, Section 8, everything, when other people started coming back to the main part of the city, the property value raised, so everything got pushed out. So of course all the crime, all the things you expect to come with poverty is out there now, like completely different from when I grew up though.
Did you grow up with both of your parents?
I didn't. I grew up with two parents, yeah, but not my biological father. My mama remarried. Well, she married, you know, my stepdaddy, who she's still with today. You know, he was there. So I had two parents. It's just my biological father wasn't in the picture.
How do you feel like that particularly, if any way, affected you in a good or bad way? As far as you stating that, you know, you were just pretty much with your mom, but did have a physical step parent there.
Having two parents in the household is definitely, you notice the difference just by how society expect men to handle things and society expect women to handle things. Like, women seem way more logical, nurturing. You know, my stepdaddy, he's naturally a protector. He is instinctive. Like, he don't, like, father figures typically aim to protect first. Whatever that means, like, we'll figure everything else behind that, but I'm gonna get it covered up front and then we'll worry about it. You know, women seem to kind of think situations out, plan better, you know, stuff like that.
Still sticking with childhood, what high school did you go to, and how was that experience as well?
I went to Reed. I went to Sarah C. Reed in Michigan, and I think I had the best high school experience ever, cause, you know, I'm good in academics, but I'm also a creative person. So I did all my work early and first, and then I just pretty much just floated through the day. So, like, I had my grades. Luckily, you know, my parents, my aunties and stuff, they rewarded good grades. So any clothes, shoes I wanted, I pretty much got. So I had the best of both worlds, you know.
So during that time, you say you pretty much got your schoolwork done, but you also was creative. Did you start with that creativity even way before then, or did that just give you a lot of leeway in that time when you're inside high school and being that academic person first? Where did that creativity come from as far as your high school years?
Well, it pretty much started in fashion, because around this time was right when, like, classics and soldiers kind of phased out, so G-Nikes came in like full steam around my 9th grade year. So I was customizing them. Like, if you had a pair of whites, you give me $10 back then, you know, I customized whatever color, whatever pattern you wanted. So, like, that was pretty much like my 9th, 10th grade year. The creativity came out through fashion, because everybody knew I knew how to draw. Like, that was something I just always did. But just knowing, like, I could, you know, you wear school uniforms, your jacket and your shoes pretty much the only thing that's gonna make you stand out from everybody else. So that's what people at my school focused on kicks, tennis, jewelry, you know.
So did that, you talking about, you know, getting the kicks and the fashion and everything, did that also introduce you to the business world, do you feel?
It did. It let me, because around this time I can remember I was making like, when it was football game time, it was jamboree time, dances, you know, like I could make like $300 in a week, you know, and when you 16, that's a lot of money, and it was constant too. Like I did that for years, so I never even thought about like people like, what you gonna do for a living, you know, like in my head, I am living, you know what I'm saying?
Right. We just talked about even, you know, you getting into the creativity with the shoes and everything and the fashion, but exactly, was that when creativity had been a part of your life? Because you also mentioned drawing, you already knew how to draw. So when did that start? When did art just became a part of your life in general?
It's hard to pinpoint it because it always was there. Like elementary school, when I was young, I didn't even realize knowing how to draw was a big deal because I really thought everybody knew how to draw. I think it was around 9th grade, 10th grade, I was 9 or 10, that was like 4th and 5th grade. Well, you started realizing teachers mainly, like they started to pay more attention and asking about talented in visual arts and should I go to NOCA and stuff like that. And I'm wondering like what they talking about, like, you know, like I didn't realize art was something that you could just focus on. I thought it was just like another class that you go to or something. So around that time is when I really started paying attention because it got me more focused on a group of people who that's all they did, that was their life. You know, like my life, art was a part of it, but I didn't dedicate my life to art probably until I graduated from school, because it kind of left me in a space to, what am I about to do? Like I gotta make some type of choices. Like as people going to college, I knew I wasn't going to college. Like I didn't want to work for nobody. I didn't want a boss. And I was already making money, so I really just had to decide how am I about to turn this hustle into like a legitimate business where I can make like a real decent living out of it.
Just from understanding that point of view of trying to make that transition from I love to do this for fun, this is something that I feel like I can naturally do, but also I gotta live, right? I gotta make ends meet as far as living on my own and living a regular life. Was that the biggest challenge for you, or did you just really just kind of just let it flow, and how long did that really take you to manage it?
It wasn't a challenge at all. Like I feel like one of the luckiest people in the world as far as having a career and a passion that just align with life, because no decision I made was weighed against no type of pressure. It was just me putting pressure on myself because I knew what I was capable of if I kind of just locked into focus. Like I sacrificed a lot when I was younger just because I knew I was able to, and just finding the right resources, the right research, talking to the right people, even if they gave bad advice, like I still knew, all right, I'm not gonna do that again, you know what I'm saying? It's just building on what worked and just kind of flowing through it. But it never was like challenging in the sense of me under some type of pressure. It was probably more excitement and anxiousness than anything.
So, I feel like you almost kind of answered this, and I didn't even see this question, but what do you determine what art discipline you want to know the discipline? Yeah, so what do you determine what art discipline that you want to focus on? I know there's like different times when you be like, oh, I want to do this now, I want to do that now. So what entices that in you?
It's just satisfaction, fulfillment. Like you have an idea and then you watch it come to fruition. To me, my biggest challenge is how long do I want to stay in it? Because it's not like I'm in it trying to like win awards for this or prove something to somebody. Like I just set my schedule up to whatever I'm feeling, I can do that day. So scheduling is probably my biggest issue as far as creativity. It's not me choosing what works better, because everything works. Like I'm gonna figure it out regardless on how it's gonna go, but allowing creating the space to, if I feel like doing a painting this morning, I'm gonna do that. If I have a tattoo scheduled this evening, I'm gonna save enough time to do that. You know, I might have a car to paint this weekend, It's just finding the right slots where I could kind of flow easily between them. That's like the most challenging thing. But I don't like to pick like, oh, I'm gonna only do this, I'm gonna only do that, because it don't work like that. Like I'll be halfway through this, I'll start 3 paintings and paint them all at the same time. I ain't gonna do this one and wait till it's finished, because the inspiration is constant. So I don't need to feel like painting to continue something I started, but I have to feel like painting to start something new, if that makes sense.
Makes sense.
So I just kind of like try to balance the inspiration to whatever projects I'm working on.
So when you're going through that, just like you stated, you don't want to have to pick once you pretty much started, and not only that, you like to keep it seems like diversified in order to not keep yourself in a box. Do you feel like that sometimes?
Honestly, it's just once I feel satisfied with something, just to keep doing it just kind of feel like overkill to me. It's like, what am I, I had the idea, the expectations met what I was feeling, so I could move to the next thing. Like I don't have to keep doing this, like if it's fun, I just flow with it. But 9 times out of 10, I probably have like 7 more ideas that I'm sitting on. So I had to do this one to get that out of my head and leave space for the next 6. And then I, like I said, as long as the inspiration is there, I try to divide that time up into creating. So once I'm gonna finish this thought and then I'm gonna explain why. Like I work like that because I don't like sitting, like writers say they have writer's block. They probably use all their energy into the one idea, so when that idea was over with, it's nothing to turn to. I use that, and if I have an idea, I do 3 different versions of that. So I'm looking at my idea spread out now. So that even inspired me to either continue with that, or I'm satisfied with this, now I got different ideas. So long as all this stuff is set up, it'll be days where I might not have no idea, but I have enough things started where I don't have to think. It's just the labor of getting it done at that point. So like I said, spreading out the inspiration has really been working for me, because I could write an idea down. Like some of the paint series I'm working on now, I didn't thought of this stuff 3 years ago. But to see it come to fruition now, if it's new to everybody else, it don't matter how long. It could be 10 years. I was sitting on it, I didn't present it to the world till now. So, my sketchbook is half notes. Like I don't even draw in my sketchbook. It's just like I'm just writing the ideas down as I'm thinking about it. And then if I have time, I sit and come with a sketch, or I might just go straight to the painting. Like it just depends. But the most important thing is setting up time and space to be able to execute the ideas that I do have,
So with those ideas, and you're talking a lot about inspiration, keeping that inspiration, like what inspires you to make these things? Is it just a thought? Is it just you seeing something? It's just like you said, something that you seen 3 years ago. But how do you keep that inspiration going within yourself to make these things and do what you want to do?
That's the part that you can't learn that. That's being an artist. That's possessing that is what make you an artist or a creative person. Not techniques that you learn. It's the actual creativity and the thoughts, and that's something I don't control. Like if it pop in my head, if it's 2:30, I gotta get up, write it down, sketch it out. I could go right back to sleep because the idea is recorded now. So whenever I feel like working on it, I can. But if I'm sitting, if I'm just thinking, the idea will pop. And I just turn over and just go back to sleep. It might take 2 whole years for that idea to come back full circle. Be like, damn, now it's time to act on it. So, like, I keep my books close. Anytime I have any idea, whether I use it or not, I still write it down or jot it down or sketch it, doodle or something. So, like I say, it might be times where I don't have no idea, but I got a whole journal full of stuff. You know what I'm saying?
Honestly, I feel like you should saying that kind of like a cheat code for a lot of people. Because I feel like a lot of people don't take advantage of their thoughts.
Yeah.
Right? Like you're sitting there, just like you say, you can wake up and have an idea because you're thinking about it and write it down. So you can always go back and look at it, right? And
I just think people be consumed with trying to make something, or trying, especially in this era where everything is pretty much about content. You're showing people what you're doing. If you don't have no ideas and you're just trying to force something, people can see that. Like you just throwing yourself out, you know what I'm saying? So it's like, it's like what's genuine to me. Like I said, them 2:30 thoughts, them 6 a.m. thoughts. So I be sure that I write those down. And anything that come from that, it's like my brain is free enough to embrace it. You know what I'm saying?
Cool. So what made you kind of leave the tattoo game as much as you used to do it before?
Being in it so long, like I waited till I hit 20 years to stop. So keep in mind, I've been tattooing since I graduated high school. I graduated high school in 2002. So I started that winter, like January, the following winter after I graduated. And tattooing, everything I'm talking about, freedom and creating a space too, I can't do that with tattooing. My schedule will be locked up for 4 months. So no matter whatever I'm thinking, I always got to double check to see if it'll even work. A concert might pop up in Houston or something that I would normally go to, but my schedule is so locked up, I can't even leave, So knowing how time, tattooing, it restricts my time more than anything else that I ever did in my life, because I'm working with people and their schedules. People take off from work, a month ahead and put in time, like just trying to respect that and not trying to do what I'm trying to do regardless. I don't want to schedule or have to cancel somebody, so I just stop booking altogether. Like that's just something that I don't even want to deal with no more, because it's too heavy on my brain at this point, trying to remember and keep up with all that.
So how has fatherhood changed you?
I don't think it changed me at all. I just think it made me realize the type of person that I am. Like, as far as just it made me think more. I say that it made me think more. What's the word I'm looking for? It made me think more inward, I guess, like introspectively. I say that, like, what am I really capable of? Or what do any of this stuff matter if my kids don't see it? Like, am I being the right example for them? Like, am I giving them good advice? It just made me like kind of think about everything that I do. Like, is it coming off right, like I'm intending it to? Or if I don't have real intentions, I'm just moving. I have to make sure that what I'm doing is will be received right for them. I'm like being more intentional on what I'm doing.
So with all that said, what are you up to right now?
Right now, my main focus is painting cars. Like me and my cousin Duck, we got a body shop where we paint like fully restored cars, mainly like 80 Chevys, like old school, G-bodies. Just all that'll be out starting Easter. I'm gonna debut 3 cars for Easter, like stuff I just been working on for the past year and a half. Just this is the first time I ever spoke about that too. Like I won't be the car show guy. Like you need your whole interior customized, whatever speaker boxes, whatever paint job. I won't bring all the art skills that I have from painting, from murals, tattooing, and I won't put murals on cars, like completely customized paint jobs, where they be, kind of like wow, like graphic, or it could be like real subtle, like color changes like that, like just two-tone, just anything like you could imagine. Like I want your car to be an art piece also. So I just jumped the gun and put a few of our own projects on the street first, just so people could really understand. Like, I'm not, when I tell people I'm painting cars, they'll be like, oh, I got this awesome bumper. Like I'm not, fixing bumpers and shit like that. Like I'm trying to like fully bring a 82 Cutlass back, what I'm saying? And you're looking at it like, damn, like I won't bring all those ideas to stuff like that. So you can see that could be a piece of art also.
Yeah, so I mean, just listen to the conversation, all of it coming together, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, it seems as though is that like you said at the beginning, it's not really, it has never been a challenge. It is more so of just bringing bring your thoughts to life when you want to do it and the time that you want to do it. So putting that all together, how do you feel like that truly affected your life, in negatively or positively in general, just by having that mindset on its own?
I don't think nothing negative about it at all. I think it's all positive because like I say, it's starting from in my brain, and I'm watching everything manifest from thoughts I had, like literally, like had and wrote down. I think the the biggest challenge for me lately has been choosing who Monday I want. You know what I'm saying? Because I get paid well for everything that I do, but some things is not worth it to me. Like some corporate people come into me with the craziest budgets, and I'm looking like, yeah, this a bag, but it might be corny to me. Like I don't want to put my name with this. You know what I'm saying? I just pass it up because it don't mean that much. Like I do well enough on my own to. I'm lucky for that too. I do well enough on my own so I could choose what I want to be associated with. I'm not just running to everybody who's throwing money in my face. Like I don't even care about that. Like I know what I'm capable of, and I'd be foolish to ignore that to a bigger brand that I'm just a prop to something they're trying to promote or somebody, an audience they're trying to reach. Like I never put myself in a position to compromise what I feel about something. You know what I'm saying? Like if I don't fool with it, I ain't gonna do it.
What's up?
I got a question.
Yeah.
So, did you feel like you foresee you getting to this point where you like how you said you just turning out things, like you think about the Palisades days, the Jones Creek days. Did you think about like it's gonna be a point in time where it's like I'm turning these things out?
I knew it since then. Like the moment the 12th person knock on your door in a day, like you realize you have something that people want. You know what I'm saying? So it's like I tattoo from 11 in the morning, which was way early back then, like, 11 in the morning and like 2 in the morning, like all day, like people in my apartment on the game with my cousin, you know what I'm saying, just smoked out all day, and it's like, it feels like a Joe session for everybody else, but I'm the only one working, you know what I'm saying, so it's a good feeling because you ain't missing nothing because everybody around, but it's like, damn, I'm on stretch, my fingers hurt, my back hurting, by the time I finish, everybody just, they just crashed out. So I'm like, man, like this ain't ideal for me, so I kind of changed it, taking less people, and I took a more professional approach after the Palisades, because like I said, you knocking on my door like 1:30, like, dog, like, come on, dog, like this, because you hear, stuff coming out my apartment. I can't blame nobody because that's just the type of vibe it was, but it made me realize, like, I can't hustle with this no more, like, I gotta legitimize it, so I opened a shop on Jones Creek in 2009, like when I left the Palisades, just to try to legitimize my business, have a real tattoo shop schedule, business hours, you know what I'm saying? Like people I don't know, coming through, setting up appointments and stuff. It just made it different. And it made the people who I was fooling with back then kind of respect that, all right, he for real with this. Like this is a real like business approach. We ain't just, on 2K in an apartment no more. Like it's serious now. So I had to do that to kind of separate that mentality from everybody else too.
So with all that, and I feel like I should split it up to see which route you want to take with this question.
All right.
Because I mean, it don't seem like you'll tell your younger self anything different than what you've done already. But if you could tell even a youth or tell them something about just your experience, what would you tell them as far as just being important with either entrepreneurship or just following their passion?
Really pay attention to how you feel. That's something you could never change. Like you could only act on it or ignore it. Most people ignore it because they don't want to go through the work to really see what the idea about. Like they'll just keep thinking on it, thinking about all the cons against it, and that'll scare you away from the idea. Go figure it out. Like the worst you could do is fail at it, and you're like, oh, well, shit, I ain't gonna do that no more. I know this ain't to be done, so I can move on to the next thing. But I wouldn't want nobody young to grow up and think back what they could have did. Like if you young, the world extend grace enough to you to make mistakes because they realize you just trying to figure it out. Everybody trying to figure a lot of stuff out. So when you're young, it's the space to make the mistakes, or to learn, or to, you know, all the trials, tribulations. That's the time to go through that. Because when you get older, you got a lot more pressure on you. Like the world ain't as gracious because they figure like, oh, you just was messing around the whole time. Like, you know, they just look at you different. So act on how you're feeling, or at least express how you're feeling, or try to understand how you're feeling, no matter what it is, you know.
Tell everybody, you know, where to find you at any time they
Yeah, for the most part, I'm at Axiom Gallery, 4613 Forest Street, Uptown. All my socials at Co Artwork. You know, like you can check out stuff I'm doing now. I pretty much keep everybody informed on what I'm doing on the pages and stuff.
Only in New Orleans.